Bees and butterflies drifted through the field of wildflowers dividing the orchard from the untamed forest. It was the perfect place to escape the oppressive heat and humidity. "Mom?" Jane started. She'd been gazing over Milton's gardens and the great lawn toward the blue hills surrounding the village of Storyton, and had been too lost in thought to realize that the table had gone quiet.
"You're meant to be picking apples, not gathering wool."
Her eyes twinkling in amusement, Aunt Octavia tapped the frost poem with a flamingo pink nail that matched the flowers on her pink and green dress. "Your turn, Mom," Fitz added impatiently. "Did I ever tell you how sweet and cute you were as a toddler? Before you learned to talk?" Jane teased. Then she read a few lines of Frost's poem aloud. "There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall." She passed the poem to Hem, who raced through 5 lines before holding out the paper so that Fitz could recite the remaining 6. When Fitz was done, he popped an apple sausage ball in his mouth. After chasing it down with a swallow of cider, he said, "It doesn't sound like a poem about apples. It sounds like a poem about being tired." Looking pleased, Uncle Aloysius said,
"Very perceptive. What gave you that idea?"
asked Aunt Octavia. Fitz dropped a spoonful of maple cream onto his scone. "He says he's overtired, and he mentions sleep a bunch of times. He has aches and pains, too," Hem said, chiming in. "He sounds like you first thing in the morning, Mom." Jane was tempted to throw a sausage ball at her son, but restrained herself.
"If your mother wakes up with stiff joints, it's because she works so hard," Aunt Octavia said loyally. "And since we're on the topic of hard work, Mrs. Hubbard tells me that you two have taken excellent care of her kitchen and vegetable gardens. We're all very proud of how dedicated you've been to that job, while also working on your jam business."
Fitz flashed his most winsome smile. "Thanks. Would you please pass the mini candy apples?" "Only one treat at a time," Jane reminded him.
"But we're growing boys."
Hem parroted Mrs. Hubbard so perfectly that everyone laughed. Uncle Aloysius doffed his fishing hat and used it to hide his face from Aunt Octavia as he leaned closer to Fitz and Hem.
"If you boys were older, you might be more interested in poetry. Men have been wooing ladies with romantic poems for centuries."
The corners of Hem's mouth dipped down as he turned to Jane. "Do all the guests write love poetry?" "No, they write all kinds of poems. A few are working on novels written entirely in verse. Some are songwriters, and others write free verse poems about everything and anything. Most of them are interested in writing short poems for greeting cards." She smiled at her sons. "You might not know it, but you've created poetry. Think of how many verses you've come up with about Broken Arm Bend. And that jingle you're working on for your jam business? That rhymes too. Songwriting is a close cousin to poetry. Maybe that's why I like hip-hop. Remember that song I played for you the last time we slept over?" Fitz directed his question to Aunt Octavia. To Jane's utter astonishment, Aunt Octavia replied,
"The one from a tribe called Quest? I most certainly do. Such clever wordplay." "Was I there?"
asked Uncle Aloysius.
"I don't remember."
Seeing his confused expression, Aunt Octavia patted his hand and told him he'd probably been in his study.
"I ran into 2 of the poets in the garden. We had a nice chat about nature and Whitman. I showed them one of his poems and told them we'd named our spa after him. We spoke all the way."
After a pause, he said,
"I don't remember where I was headed, but it doesn't matter."
Jane and Aunt Octavia exchanged worried glances. Uncle Aloysius had been more forgetful as of late. He'd even gone fishing without his beloved hat. Her uncle was never without his fishing hat, much to Aunt Octavia's consternation. And when Jane drove down to the lake to return it to him, he touched the top of his head, clearly confounded to find that he wasn't already wearing it. "After the poets are gone, I should talk to Aunt Octavia about this. Doc Lydgate could pop over, just to be sure Uncle Aloysius is okay." Hem gulped down the rest of his cider and swiped his napkin across his mouth.